Thank you for visiting this limited series. The infection was initially mild, my small town city council run, the toxic American pandemic response, and what both mean for the future of the country, written by Heather Christina Schmidt. You can view the entire series now on schmidttalks.com or subscribe to get it sent in parts to your email box weekly.
What makes all of this possible, at every level, water board, city council, county supervisor, state legislature, Congress, and so on, are the insiders. Paradoxically, this is a group of people that believe they are inside and influencing decisions, when the reality is they exert about as much weight as that of their pinky fingers. Not much. Sure, political influencers and some employees play a part, and can make or break a candidate or an elected official with their own actions or part in the dance. Like the city clerk who handles the elections, she could simply not return the phone call of a candidate until the time has passed for the candidate to file, and that's about that. In the year of my own election, a man that ran for mayor in a neighboring city became victim of the malicious incompetence of the county clerk, who just happened to accidentally leave the man's name and candidate information out of the election handbook mailed to all voters. Beyond all these tertiary elected and appointed subterranean termites, there is also the mega bureaucracy at the city and county levels, who portray and highlight those elected to office with their own particular brand of incompetence. If I am constantly having a problem dealing with the people in the property tax office at the county, it's unlikely I will continue to vote for the incumbent on the county supervisorial board that is supposedly meant to oversee these clowns. Right? The same could go for almost any department the average citizen encounters, or so you would think. Except when everyone is incompetent, including their replacements, what else can we come to expect over the years? Now, in 21st century suburban America, this standard of incompetence is matched only by the amount of gaslighting done in the public view. Community members accept this low standard of public service thanks to messaging and social media posts that have glossed over an otherwise abysmal electoral track record. This was especially highlighted in the pandemic, when the inner workings of the local government showed itself to the public to be inefficient, idiotic, and, in this case, deadly. But at the same time, they messaged the hell out of the story with social media posts and pretty pictures, and now the collective perception of how things have been handled is divided between those that watched from the protection of their homes and internet, and those that suffered the greatest hardships. Even our public health is made up of installed puppets, bureaucratic cronies with interests beyond their scope and practice. In the earliest days, our county took the strategy of protecting businesses at all costs. Those costs were, naturally, human lives, mostly of the elderly, low-wage workers, illegal immigrants and guest workers, and members of multi-generational, low-income homes. Still, the vast majority of CARES funding the county received went to business grants, and to cities which then distributed further business grants. Very little went to public health, beyond testing, which they rapidly phased out the first chance they could. To make matters worse, the public health professionals made recommendations and guidance at the pace of snails, not wanting to hurt small business through this difficult time. As community member fatalities began to stack up, our public health director ignored the call by the public to publish what businesses had experienced employee outbreaks as well. They do it for other public health violations, but an outbreak of COVID among employees was seen to them as too politically controversial, and would harm local business. The list of these, and other, transgressions over the years of the pandemic has stacked up, rivaled only by the list of people that have died of the disease and their gross negligence. But again, the messaging is at peak gaslit, and the public has been profoundly removed from the gross negligence that has gone on. This raises a very serious issue in American politics. What the general public doesn't always seem to realize when they vote is that they aren't just voting for the person or identity of the candidate, themselves, but for everyone they bring with them. This extends beyond just who they install when a seat on their own council opens. With the president, it's judges and administration officials. With counties, it's everyone running the show, from your jails to your elections to your child support services. In cities, it's the manager and the city planner. You have to ask yourself, in a city like mine, why the council hasn't been able to find residents of our actual city to hire as city managers and planners, or why when a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic hits, there's no one of all the people working at City Hall capable of being moved into a position to better coordinate a more well-rounded local response to save lives. All of these people are a part of the same whole, flying for the sake of flying. Existing for the sake of existing. In essence, accomplishing and contributing very little to society as a whole. Finally, you have all the rest of the swarm that can be seen everywhere. Like the subterranean termites, they gaggle into groups, serving only themselves. They are the local media, who kowtow to local elected officials because it is local governments that fund their struggling newspapers. They are the special interest groups, that average people believe only exist in the highest levels of government, when in reality they exist at all levels and are most insidious in their influence at the bottom. They are the two-bit activist groups, who have some nebulous and general cause that is used as an excuse to get together, drink wine, and gossip. One of our city council members has a somewhat influential mother in one of these groups. A gaggle of old women and one gay man, they get together multiple times per week to gossip about everything going on in the world that pisses them off, write checks to personalities they like, and get sauced on a local Chardonnay in the process. On one occasion they invited me and the other women running in the city, in the other district, a pink-haired Democratic activist that talked down to me, and routinely interrupted to ramble into oblivion on topics no one could understand. The event was 80% her talking, 19% the group complaining about Trump, and I was given about 2 minutes to state my name. Most malignant are the local political groups, whom are usually more cliquish than they are substantive in their activism. Like a cancerous sore on the body politic locally, these groups in my community are why the leaders of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Caucus, also known as the DCCC, once told me at a union junket in Sacramento that because of the toxicity that is pervasive to these local political groups in this district, the caucus typically considered it a political black hole. Especially in my own experience, with the Democratic groups, they are the grassroots embodiment of the party at large, overpromising and underdelivering. For our own election, the local Democrats sent emails upon emails to candidates promising volunteers, phone banking, mailers, and the like. In the end, we got a couple hundred text messages sent, and a stack of door hangers with a long list of names on it. Mine was towards the bottom. No manpower to distribute them except the young Democrats who gave us a few hours one Saturday. And, of course, that couple $100 from just one of their many groups. Of course, with social media, the groups expanded into things like political mom groups, and everything that comes with them. If Facebook mom groups are the state of nature, my own experience with them has been quite Hobbesian, nasty, brutish, and short. The political moms groups of course divide into the ideological camps, and I managed to piss off both of them. For the conservative moms of the community, it was quite obvious. Most of them believed I had that conspiratorial agenda, of which they themselves could not even articulate. On social media they would claim they saw me being nasty to fellow moms, and contemptuous of our community members. None of this was true, and when asked for the proof they could not produce it. That started the next conspiracy, that I had spent years of my life gleaning my presence on the internet, something any mom of 3 knows I have absolutely no time for. A lot of them were hyper-religious and took offense to my positions on public health as well. It remains to be seen how wearing a mask has anything to do with Jesus. Naturally, the defund the police rumor was at the front of their sentiment against me. In the end there was going to be no winning them over for this reason. True or not, they had heard too much.
Keep going to continue. The infection was initially mild, my small town city council run, the toxic American pandemic response, and what both mean for the future of the country, written by Heather Christina Schmidt, or come back next week for the next installation on schmidttalks.com. Thank you to our sponsors, and subscribers like you. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay aware.